Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Montu Med. Today's video is going to be a little different. This is going to be a raw, live reaction to opening my level 1 COMLEX exam results. It's pass-fail, thankfully, but it's still very high stakes and it can determine if I am able to go into rotations this coming year or not. I'm currently a second-year medical student heading into my third year. I'm in the summer in between. Today is June 26th, 2025. I took my COMLEX Level 1 on May 14th, 2025. So it's been over a month, which is slower than the USMLE turnaround time for Step 1. It's been a long wait, but thankfully results are here. I was actually driving all day today, so exam results actually came out earlier, but I haven't been able to look at them. That being said, finally time to open it. It's almost 7 p.m. here, so let's both take a look. This is going to include my honest reaction and also my reflections on how I felt before the exam, during the exam, after the exam, and then during the wait. First, we'll talk about how I felt leading up to the exam. I primarily focused most of my studying towards Step 1, more so than COMLEX. Even though I took COMLEX Level 1 first before my Step 1 exam, I actually felt like I was cramming for COMLEX. Typically, you might hear students taking their Step 1 exam and then cramming OMM into those 4 or 5 days in between and then taking COMLEX. I did it the other way around. There's pros and cons of doing it either way. I can make another video about that if you guys are interested, but I took my COMLEX first. And in the last 2 days leading up to my exam, I crammed all of the OMM and ethics, statistics, formulas, all that stuff in pretty last minute. The day of the exam, it was a very long day. There are 8 hours just of testing, plus breaks, plus sign in, sign out. So it takes upwards of 9 hours throughout the day. It is mentally draining. You have not taken a practice exam that is that long. You've taken half lengths, maybe 6 hours potentially spent on an exam, but on game day, that's a lot longer. First section was probably the hardest I felt. I flagged the most out of the 8 sections that you take for the COMLEX. Section 2 was a little better. If you don't really know the format, you take blocks of 2 sections at a time, essentially, and you take a break in between. Third and fourth section felt a lot better than the first and second for me, and then came lunch. 5, I think, was, if I remember correctly, 5 was more difficult. 6 was a little better, so I felt more confident in that section. Section 7 was good. Section 8, like, this is the last hour of the exam. You've been there close to like 10 hours. I was pretty exhausted. I just wanted to leave at that point, so I rushed through. I took my time for every section leading up to it, but on the last section, I was tired. I wanted to get out of there. I was getting bored. I knew the longer I spent in that exam room, I would just second guess myself and change my answer from my gut answer. So I think I submitted my last section within 30 minutes of me starting the section. Afterwards, I was drained, but I was thankful that it was over. But I didn't really have much time to relax. I think I took a day off before starting the grind for Step 1. But after both exams, I completely took everything off. I just kind of rotted in bed. We have summer classes coming up. I didn't touch any of that material whatsoever. But it was a long wait for COMLEX. Step 1 came around a lot quicker, but COMLEX took over a month and a half to get our results back, essentially. So it was a really long wait. We started classes. We're like halfway done with our summer classes, like our transitions courses, if you will, before you do rotations. Speaking of rotations, COMLEX Level 1 for osteopathic schools, DO schools, is a mandatory exam that you have to pass, typically in your second year before you enter rotations. So that's our school policy. If I don't pass, then that would complicate a lot of things. So let's not try to be too negative there, but the stakes are high. I'm just excited to check my results. I've been hearing what my friends have been getting. I've been off Reddit for a while now. I would not recommend that if you're in that waiting period, if you're seeing people get their scores back. Try to stay off the internet for a while. And during the day of the exam release score, you're supposed to get your results from 12 to 5 p.m. Essentially, it came around, I think, noon for me, slightly past noon. I got that email saying it was ready. How did I feel about the overall OMM exam? It was probably, in my opinion, less straightforward than the Step 1 exam. That doesn't necessarily mean the content was more difficult. The wording of the questions, the phrasing was more confusing. It was more vague, if you will. I will make another video talking about the differences between the two, but COMLEX felt a little bit more unpredictable. You didn't know if you're going to be seeing posterior Chapman points. You don't know how depth they're going to go into in OMM. The question stems may be written weird. OMM and ethics are completely wildcards, essentially. That being said, there were a lot more straightforward questions, a lot more first-order questions, in the sense that if you knew the buzzword, then you knew the answer. You didn't really have to look at the other ones. You were pretty confident. If you didn't Anki, if you just memorized the buzzwords, you should have been good for those questions. There was a lot more of those on the COMLEX than the Step 1 exam. I'll be making another video. I studied for COMLEX. I did it very unorthodox. I've spent less than 10 hours on OMM, as I said. But let's go see my result now. Love the NBOME website. Let's log in here. Hope I remember my login. I'm gonna try my school email, see if that works. Password is wrong. Let me try something else. I hope I don't need to reset my login. Okay. It took me like 10 tries, but I finally logged in. That was a little stressful in itself. Okay, it says select the student portal and select the scores tile. Okay, I'm in the student portal and then scores. Wait, okay, I passed, but I didn't realize it was gonna come up like that. Okay, wait, that's it. Re-report. Okay, guys, I did pass. Okay, guys, I did pass. Stupid add-on came out on the way. Okay, let's see. Result, level 1. Overall student score is 400 and higher. Okay, yeah, there's my exam date. That's my name. Passed. Woo, okay. I was a little worried. This was probably more relevant to me than Step 1 exam was, because I attended osteopathic school. I did get my Step 1 result earlier. This was just something I needed to pass to be able to enter rotations. So seeing that pass, that's very relieving. I was confident, but you never know. Just seeing that pass, it's very nice to see. It's very pleasing to see that pass after the amount of work. I can't even speak right now, guys. COMLEX 1 is probably more relevant for osteopathic student to graduate and to enter clinical rotations on time. If you fail step, it's okay, you could take that again, but COMLEX Level 1, if you fail that, at least at my school, that can put you off track into when you start your rotations and potentially when you graduate. There, how do I see, is there more results? What's the other one? Oh, okay, there's more. There are more. Examination, minimum passing score, I think that's the 400, your exam result. Okay, I did pretty well. Let's see, mean performance, first time takers. Yeah, this is my first time taking it, standard deviation. So I guess I was, I did have some room to spare, which is good. There are things called experimental questions. So if you get those wrong, that really doesn't harm your score at all. So if you get those experimental questions wrong, it doesn't harm your score. There are things called experimental questions. If you get those questions wrong, they don't harm your score. They're just for practice for NBOME to see if they're valid to use in their future exams. So even if you flag like 30 questions, if they get thrown out, you could still be like at 100%, right? Okay, that is very good to see. Okay, it looks like there's more. Oh, okay, it tells you your breakdown. For step 1, I don't think it tells you a breakdown. Maybe I'm wrong, but let's see here. So mean performance. Oh, ma'am, I did better than average, but not on the OPP. I did less than average. I guess I did within the standard deviation, but that's really funny. Okay. I did lower on the interpersonal communication skills, so I guess that's like ethics maybe. I did not do well on that. I guess this is kind of expected since I spent less than maybe 8 hours on both these sections the last 2 days. I did everything for these sections in the last 2 days before my exam. Professionalism, okay, so I guess that's a little different. Systems, okay. I guess this is another breakdown. Repro, wow, okay. I actually did really well on repro. I did not think repro would be one of my highest. Unlike the practice exams, it was usually one of my lower ones. Endocrine, okay. Yeah, I think, well, I mean, we can't complain. It's a pass-fail exam. Nice. So there's people that probably like scored like in this section here too, right? Because I'm assuming the bar can go all the way to here. But no, we'll take it. We'll definitely take it. Yeah, overall pretty happy, pretty relieved. I was confident going in. Maybe I should have said that beforehand. But I I guess I knew my step one result score, and I was more worried about that than this exam because I think the cutoffs for passing and failure are a little different. But very happy to see this. Very happy to see that I made improvements in the sections I struggled with in the past. Kind of anticlimactic the way I thought I would see the result. I kind of didn't notice it at first, but overall, very pleased. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know in the comments what you thought of this video.